What's going on, guys? This is just a quick update on the Tesup equipment that I bought. I do not recommend this shit. It looks like it was put together by a third grader, but then I don't want to insult the third grader because I think the third grader could have done a better job. And I'm going to bring you around and I'm going to show you some of the stuff that's wrong, but I do not suggest this. I'll put a link below to a wind turbine on AliExpress that I like. There's a guy, he's got a channel, his name's Josh Daniel, and he has tons and tons of videos on wind turbines. Real smart guy. So just go check out his channel. He doesn't even know I'm shouting him out, but this is happening. Alright, so I'm going to take you over and I'm going to start showing you some of the chintzy ass like little pieces and connections that were inside the wind turbine and inside the charge controller, and I'm going to show you something on the charge controller that is really bad right after this. Alright, so this is the body of the wind turbine here. And the connections, okay, so these three wires right here are the three connections for the three-phase that come from the stator. Okay, so these three connections right here were with this little cheap-ass plastic thing. Two of these wires were loose. So I found all this shit out because I put the wind turbine up and I had a day of full wind and this thing only produced 4 watt-hours. So, alright, so now understanding why I had to take it apart. So there was two of these connections weren't screwed in all the way, so the wires were loose. The 3 copper wires that come out the end of the stator here. Alright, so if you don't know this, these wires are coated with a shiny film. And none of these, all 3 of these wires, they did not sand down that coating, so therefore the copper wire was not getting a secure connection to those 3 other connections down in the body of the wind turbine. On top of that, the screws were loose. Alright, so here we are with the Tesup hybrid charge controller. This is supposed to be 12 volt or 24 volt. And at a glance, if you were to look at this and then look on Tesup's website, you would see that the connectors on the website are like this. And they're only like this on this charge controller that I got because I put them there, just like they had it on the pictures on the website. Initially when I got it, these connectors right here were on the inside of this, and these holes were supposed to be the holes that the wires were supposed to go through, this metal, and they were tiny holes. So I had to, before I moved this outside, I drilled those holes bigger, but it still didn't even make a difference. The holes didn't line up worth a shit, so I had to move these outside. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this front lid off, and then I'm going to start pointing out some things down here for you guys, and I'll be right back. Alright, so forgetting the fact that these things come with little to no instructions, Tesup's YouTube channel, they have the worst videos in the world. Alright, so like I said, this faceplate was not completely squared when it was put together, so I don't know if maybe they had a child doing it or what, but alright, so let's look at the inside here. Let me get this where you can see. Alright. So on the inside here, these brown wires right here go to the brake, the resistive load brake right here. None of these connections were tight. And then over here on this back side of this potentiometer right here, this red wire that goes down to the board over here was not connected. I had to reconnect that myself. And here's one thing that, like, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, guys, but I can figure out that if I'm doing this right. So this is supposed to be a 940 watt wind turbine at 110 volts. So if you do the conversion for that, you would divide the 940. You would divide that by 110. And you were going to get what is it, like 8.5 AC amps is what this is supposed to produce, because it's a 3-phase AC motor in the wind turbine. And then if you take that calculation to a DC or an AC to DC converter to see how many DC amps that would be, that's something like 86 amps. So the 8.5 amps AC is supposed to come into here, and then on this board somewhere is a bridge rectifier that is supposed to take the AC current and turn it to DC. But if you look down over here, these are the positive and negative leads off of the PCB that are supposed to carry the supposed 86 amps DC. If you're looking at that, that looks pretty small, man. Like, what is that, like 14, 16 gauge or some shit like that? And there's no way in hell that that would be able to carry that current. Maybe I'm doing this wrong, but that's the way the math is supposed to line out, I think. Anyways, if I did it wrong, guys, you tell me down below. But regardless, this thing is put together like crap. The wind turbine itself is shit. I have broken, I can't tell you how many, like, I feel like this thing's put together with popsicle sticks. I've broken a few bolts. I've had to pay to get the bolts removed. This thing is just an altogether nightmare, and I highly suggest that you stay the fuck away from it. But anyways, guys, that's it. That's my rant.